You had a long day, working 8 hours at your job, dealing with unique coworkers who make possible tasks almost impossible to accomplish during the day. You get done with your day, you go run your errands to assist your personal life, and then you go to the gym. You even push yourself at the gym, feeling very tired and sore afterwards. You go home, you do your nightly sleep schedule, take a shower, brush your teeth, eat dinner, and you're laying in bed. Only you're laying there for 1 to 2 hours and tossing and turning, and you physically cannot fall asleep. You grow very frustrated and you don't understand why you're not sleeping. Only it slipped your mind that you may have ingested too much caffeine through the day to keep you going and to keep you pushing through your day like normal. Today, I'm going to tell you, after doing some extensive research into the negative effects of caffeine, I'm going to try to persuade you to not just stop caffeine, but to also reduce the amount of caffeine that you intake per day. First, we're going to dive into the problems of caffeine. Almost everyone consumes caffeine, but does not understand the health risks that come with it. Caffeine is and can be a problem. It has been described by Hugh in Coffee, Caffeine, and Health 2020 as caffeine at very high levels of intake include anxiety, restlessness, nervousness, dysphoria, insomnia, excitement, psychomotor agitation, and rambling flow through thought and speech. Caffeine being so readily available and in many beverages makes it very easy to consume high amounts. Some may not even know they're consuming high amounts because you just grab the can and consume the beverage. These individuals usually experience the negative side effects of caffeine. These side effects usually include anxiousness, sweatiness, alertness, and giving you anxiety and causing you to overthink. For your body, it creates adrenaline. When you ingest caffeine, it blocks the process of your body receiving the adrenaline, causing you to not be tired. Dr. Mike's The Ugly Truth About Coffee's Effects on Your Body in September 22nd, 2021. Caffeine can actually also impact our circadian rhythm through its effects on melatonin, which can confuse our internal clock. Your body creates natural adrenaline and melatonin. Too much caffeine by the slightest amount will cause a no sleep situation, and you'll just get no sleep, period. Causing a natural cycle of you abusing more caffeine the next day so you can keep going and keep moving to get through your day like usual. As you can see, too much caffeine can be a problem and will ultimately affect your health. Now we're going to talk about ways to mitigate these. Dr. Michael Bruce's My Tips for When to Drink Caffeine and When to Stop in June of 2023 recommends that you drink 15 ounces of water, then wait 90 minutes before you even ingest your first cup. He then recommends you to drink 15 ounces of water and then no more than 350 to 400 milligrams per day. He even went on in the video to show his audience that caffeine has a half-life of 6 to 8 hours. So he recommends you don't even drink caffeine after noon because usually your sleep cycle starts between 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. when you should go to sleep for the next day. These can easily help you establish rules and guidelines to how to use caffeine effectively and mitigate the negative effects. These rules consist of drinking plenty of water prior to caffeine, as well as waiting 90 minutes after you ingest water to even use caffeine. Finally, just sticking to consuming low amounts of caffeine is in all your best interest to stay away from the 450 milligrams per day. To help mitigate caffeine, knowing how much caffeine contained in beverages would help you in general. Durovic's Caffeine Content in Energy Drinks Deviation of Declared from an Analytical Value in 2019 says that caffeine in energy drinks range between 50 to 500 milligrams of caffeine per serving, which is higher compared to other caffeinated beverages, such as a 12-ounce cola, which would have 34 to 54 milligrams of caffeine in it, or a 6-ounce cup of coffee, which would have 77 to 150 milligrams of caffeine in it. Knowing that a single cup of coffee can contain that many milligrams of caffeine really shows you how easy it is to overdo it. One coffee is 1/3 of your daily intake of caffeine. or possibly even one energy drink is your entire intake of caffeine in general. You can use this information to set guidelines and limit yourself to consuming less to no caffeine. Knowing these simple facts day to day is in your best interest to mitigate negative effects of caffeine. Now I'm going to tell you about the benefits of lowering your caffeine intake. Caffeine, at the end of the day, prescribed bipolar and caffeine intoxication and addiction in 2010, is an addictive substance, including dependence, tolerance, and withdrawal. Caffeinism is a syndrome resulting from chronic consumption of caffeine and addiction. The symptoms include nervous, irritability, tremulousness, occasional muscle twitching, sensory disturbances, tachia, palpitation, flushing, arrhythmias, diarrhea, and gastrointestinal disturbances. Lowering your caffeine intake, or even quitting it altogether, will make you addiction-free. You'll have no withdrawals or dependency to caffeine without a heavy dose, including thinking clearly and not in a prolonged state of decay. There will be no headaches and withdrawals, period. Caffeine, even described bipolar and caffeine intoxication and addiction in 2010, elicits a prolonged stress response in the body by competitively antagonizing adrenaline receptors, inhibiting prostatidiuresis and increasing circulation catecholamines in the intracellular camp. Lowering or even quitting your caffeine in general will put your body in much needed recovery instead of a prolonged state of stress, keeping your constant state of recovery and instead being in a negative decline. The benefits of lowering caffeine are entirely in your best interest. Finally, I challenge you to do this. Caffeine isn't the best for you, and I call and challenge you to lower your caffeine or quit it entirely, or even stop using it altogether. Doing this will cause you to be happier and healthier, and doing this will also cause you to fall asleep from the very beginning of our story and not have to worry about insomnia again. Lowering or even quitting America's most addictive substance is in your best interest.